Dr. Tonia helps leaders and teams think and communicate globally. Her experiences living in Japan, Italy, South Africa, and across the country allow her to bring valuable cultural experiences to business communication discussions. Her warm approach and educational background help clients to share their stories with confidence. Dr. Tonia has worked with clients at Florida Department of Transportation, Disney, Meta, Junior League, the Center for Disease Control, the Department of Justice, and many more. Her training and workshops help empower professionals to become effective communicators and impactful leaders. Join us as we not only talk about how to communicate, but how to use our words to encourage others and build them up. And also, Dr. Tonia's amazing book, Win with Words. You won't want to miss this. Welcome to She Leads Boldly, the podcast for faith-driven women navigating high-stakes leadership without compromising what matters most. I am Sharika Sanders, your host, mentor, and kingdom business leader. Here, we embrace bold leadership rooted in purpose, not pressure. This space is for the woman who refuses to choose between faith and ambition, family and fulfillment, impact and rest. Each week, you'll hear powerful conversations, practical strategies, and spirit-led wisdom to help you advocate for yourself, lead with integrity, and rise without burnout. If you're ready to lead boldly, live faithfully, and never settle for less than what God has promised, you're in the right place. So, as always, I always say I'm excited, but I am always excited because I feel like, and not really kudos to me, but kudos to you all and our amazing guests, because in your obedience and agreement to speak with us. But I'm always so excited to have these conversations because I think it's just amazing to be able to share a platform with some amazing voices, some expert opinions, and on top of all of that, women who are led by their faith. So thank you, Dr. Tonia, for your yes.
Thank you for having me.
And so you said something that just so aligns with your role as a communications consultant, expert. I prefer expert over consultant because just of your years of experience in many different parts of the world even. And so, but you said something that I think just so readily aligns with you. And to me, it's the perfect match when you have someone whose purpose or their calling, they're living it out in their career. And you said to not be afraid to speak boldly about what God has called you to do. And I would just love to know, one, how that shows up for you, and then how you help other people do the same thing.
Okay, so I'll start with me. And so when I first started teaching communication at the university level, I was in my 20s. I was very young. When people thought of college professor, they did not see my face. It was primarily much older, different people. And so I just felt very convicted and let that, when you show up and speak and they never really knew how old I was, because the way that I came boldly, some of them were quite honestly the same age or older than me, but I came, I made sure that I was always professional, that I communicated in a way that obviously I think they could relate to me, but at the same time knew that, there. And so when I say to show up boldly, like even I know behind the scenes that, young professors and that were completely like sick
Right.
before they had to go in to teach. And I don't know, I think it's something that really God has always put in me. I've al always like tutored and helped kid and was like do and so he kind of put that in me, that boldness to speak up and to say things probably even when I shouldn't say it. I just kind of had a boldness. I didn't talk all the time, but when I felt like there was something that needed to be said,
Mhm.
then I said it. And my mom would sometimes be like, "No, you didn't say that." But with that, I want my clients to feel sometimes they're in spaces where there's nobody that looks like them, or
Yeah.
where they don't feel like they're qualified, or
Mm,
they have like an imposter syndrome. They don't feel they feel like someone is going to, find them out, that
mhm.
they're not supposed to be there. They're not worthy to be there. But that, first of all, you're enough because God said you're enough.
Right.
And He put you in this, really promotion comes from the Lord. He put you
Yeah.
in this space for a reason.
Mhm.
But with that said, it's as old as Moses. Moses didn't want to show up boldly to talk to
You
Pharaoh.
okay?
He's looking at his speech impediment. He's looking
Mhm.
at his weaknesses, his
Yep.
deficiencies. And God says, I'm not worried about any of that. I
Yeah.
called you because I put in you everything that you need to do what I've
Mhm.
called you to do. And that's why we can show up boldly. It's not an arrogance in ourselves. It's a
Mhm.
confidence in who God is and who He's called us to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I feel like sometimes we show up boldly and we show up as our best selves and we say the right things and we do the right things, and it's because I don't want, I did all that because I didn't want whomever to judge me. But what we
Mm,
fail to miss in that is that's who you showed up as you, and in
yeah.
your fear of perception, it actually forced you to become that person who you were called to be. And so we do that, but then we get in the boardroom and then we're like, oh, wait a minute. They may find out that I'm not supposed to be here. They may see me for who I really am. But what I think happens in that time is they've now seen you for who you really are, but you are not seeing you for who you are and who you were called to be. And so I appreciate when you say that, you're enough, and because we all are, and we were equipped with everything that we need, like the saying, it's in your hands. Everything you need, you already have it.
Yes. I literally just got off a call with a client where it was that exact thing. Like when she knows she has to present and she does well, but in the boardroom, she
Mhm.
doesn't fully, show up as everything, or it kind of shrinks back a little bit.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
she knows that there's some fear there. And so we were just talking about that. And I was like, we have to take the motivation behind it has to be bigger than ourselves.
yes.
That by you showing up, you not only can show the light of God and the wisdom of God and to, in that space, but you
Mhm.
also help others to have the boldness to show up as well. That this is bigger than you.
Yeah,
We have to take the emphasis off of ourselves and realize that if God has put you there, it's for a purpose, and this is bigger than just what somebody thinks of you. But
yeah.
it's a part of His divine plan for not just you, but other people will be impacted.
Yes. And I was having a conversation with someone recently, and I don't know which one of us said it, but it's such, just think about, if you can't get yourself out of your own way, you can't get you out of your way. Think about how much of a disservice you're doing to God by saying, I'm not enough, by saying, I'm not equipped. I don't have what I need, knowing full well, if your back were against the wall, you coming out, ready. And that doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily, it could mean physically, but that, verbally, however you need to show up, you're ready to show up because you're not going
Mhm.
to let anybody put you in a corner. But why is it we have to get in that situation before we're able
Mm.
to say, let me show up as my full self? Let me show up in who I was called to be. And I think in what you're doing, it's so amazing because number one, you're meeting people at their point of need. You're going to them at their point of wherever space they're in, like your client you were just talking about, and saying, okay, we have this one, but now let's work on this part. Now let's figure this piece out. And oftentimes we also feel like weakness, it's a weakness. Asking for help is a weakness,
Mhm.
but that's one of the greatest strengths that you can have to say, you know what? I'm not sure I need help showing up as my best self in this place.
Mhm.
I need help making sure that I'm able to communicate and that everyone understands me when I, go to this platform, go to this next level. Because another
Mhm.
thing we say, oh, well, I don't need that now because I'm not the director yet, or I'm not the CEO, or I'm not. No, we need it right now.
Mm.
We need it right here, right
Yes, yes. And you need to see yourself in that position right now. It's not about preparing for that. You need to see yourself
now. Yep.
as the CEO. Would the CEO respond like this? Would they
Yes.
show up like this?
Right.
And so, yes, and speak like this.
That's right.
So,
That's
yeah,
right. That's
love it.
right. Showing up for where it is you want to be. Because if you're trying to wait until you get there, you're already too late.
Exactly. Or you won't be called
Right.
for that.
Even more importantly.
Yes, yes. So
Yes.
people see it in you before you even, you know, proclaim it or
Yeah.
apply for it.
Hmm.
I mean, I know I've gotten positions at jobs where either someone came up to me and think that, hey, I think that you will be a good fit for
Hmm.
this position. And I know it's the favor of God,
That's right.
but you need to walk in that, and that people will begin to see things in you. I mean, yeah. So girl, that's a whole message that will
Right. I know. And you know what? Even to that, because one, we oftentimes forget people are always watching. People are
Mhm.
always watching.
Mhm.
And when you're showing up as that person that you're supposed to be, not, and I'm going to, not even who you may be right now, but who you're supposed to be, that level, that
Mhm.
position, that this is where I know I'm headed. And so I'm showing up in that
Mhm.
place already. And when you show up as that person, even your enemies can't deny you. Even your enemies can't, they can
No.
try. They can try all the things,
Mhm.
but just like what you just mentioned, it's been times where it's like, oh, okay, well, Shrika, we think you're the best fit for this role, but one of the things we also have to remember is it's because we showed up for that place. So
Mm.
no, nobody gave you.
Mhm. Mhm.
You earned it. You were prepared for it, and God had
Mhm.
already predestined you for that thing.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so sometimes in our allowing ourselves to shrink back and not speak up, we say, well, because, well, they did give me that. So that nobody give. Every little bit, I earned it.
Yes. And even what you did, God may have given you some favor in that, but you're gonna have to work to keep it too, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
So, but I think that, and that's part of being authentic, that yeah, you've been prepared before you got to that space, that you were preparing for that.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing you said was that people are always watching. And one of the coaching I do is like, whether they're interviewing or trying to get a job, or, whatever the situation is, I
Mm-hmm.
definitely encourage people, the same character, the way you show up, like it
Mm-hmm.
should be authentic, to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because whether it's the secretary outside, that you're talking to, that you should speak with the same kindness, the same
Yes.
respect, the
Yes.
same, because one thing you never know, people are always watching. They could go out and ask
Yeah.
what do you feel about that client? How did
Mhm.
you see, and that's a real thing, that don't just, try to put on a
Right.
show. That
Right.
I'm not encouraging that, for you to try to impress people you think
Right.
may be important,
Right.
but to have the same authentic, same energy,
Right. That same bringing
same
that same
energy.
energy. Yeah.
Yes, that you bring, whether you're talking to the CEO and the
Uh-huh.
level, like the way you listen, the way you
Yep.
care, the same way, you should be with the janitor, the same way, like I feel like, as far as you're talking about being a person of faith, you know,
Mhm.
what will set you apart too. Like they should see that you're consistent,
Yeah.
in your communication. It's not just you're showing
Mhm.
partiality, or you're, trying to impress people, but
Mhm.
they see that same empathy, that same care, that same consistency with whoever you're talking to.
Yeah. And you're right. You never know who's watching. You never know who they'll ask because you don't know who they're talking to. You know, the
Mhm.
CEO and the janitor may be there late every night together and could have built this friendship that nobody else knows about. And they're like,
So true.
man, I'm really thinking about, and the janitor may be the one to speak up for you. And you're like, I didn't even know, only
Mhm.
because you were kind, only because you spoke, only because you stood up for yourself. And I love the fact in being authentic to yourself because what that says to me, especially for someone who does what you do, is saying, what makes you comfortable? And because I know sometimes people, well, I've been playing this role, I've been sending my representative for so long now, I'm questioning who I really am. But what is that thing when you're in that
Mhm.
space? Do you feel like, oh, let me put on this mask? Or are you feeling like you have to say something because you're trying to impress somebody? Or are you really showing up and saying what's true to you, a comment that you would say, whether you're talking to a coworker, whether you're talking to someone who is reports to you or the person, that owns the company. What is that
Mhm.
thing that you would say and how would you say it and still be able to show up and represent yourself? And and you're saying that about authenticity and being bold and leading boldly. And I think it just, I don't know, I just love the overall theme of it, of what you do, because you're practicing what you preach.
Mhm. Yes, and I mean, yeah, and it is a part of who I am. The same Tonya you get at the grocery store, the same Tonya you get when I'm leading trainings and
Right,
conferences. I
right.
mean, I genuinely care about people. I genuinely try to help, when I can. And my husband teases me. He's like, "You never meet a stranger." Like I talk to people wherever
Yeah,
I am.
yeah,
But you never know. Like that could
right.
be the connection that you weren't even expecting, that leads you to something else.
Yeah,
And so it naturally comes out of me. But for those who may be a little bit shyer, like, not be afraid to speak up
mhm,
and to
mhm,
to be friendly, and to make sure you are making those connections, not when you're just intentionally at a networking type of space,
yeah,
but just everyday life. There's opportunities that you could be missing by just staying to yourself.
yeah. And that's a great point that you mentioned too, with that, in being quiet and staying to yourself. So I've worked with the person who was quiet, but it was because they were insecure and I don't want to say the wrong thing. And even though you're quiet, it still shows. It shows in your demeanor. It shows in the way you position yourself. It shows
Mhm.
when or whatever you
Mhm.
choose to do or not, or not to do. But it shows up in how you show up. But then there is
Mm.
also that quiet where it's not my time to speak, and you can still sit boldly. You can still hold your head up high, but what happens is when you do speak, everyone is listening, because you're not just yapping
Mhm.
just to say,
Mhm.
oh, I provided input, but really saying something that's critical. And what you're saying that just now, that's what it brought me to, and that's what it reminded me
Mhm.
of, because I think people also need to understand that, and understanding how to communicate is not just about, oh, I need to make sure I have something to say in every conversation in all the rooms,
Mm.
but
Mhm.
it's how you show up as a whole, because you're
Mhm.
communicating whether you open your mouth or not.
Mhm. This is very true, your nonverbals, but just being intentional that every room you show up, you are there to gain understanding and to listen, and then when you speak, you'll have something to say
Right,
that's
right.
relevant to relevant to the conversation,
Uh-huh.
but no, not just speaking just to speak, but actually speaking because you care, because you're invested in the conversation and
Yes.
you're trying to understand what is being said and what the person is trying to communicate, and not just waiting for them to stop so that you can reply, but really understand what they're communicating. And so good speaking comes from good listening. Really, you have
Yeah.
to take the time to really hear people, and then you'll be able to relate and connect in a way that matters.
Hmm. Yeah. And I can even say, and I'm sure your clients get this as well, in having a conversation with you, you can still show up as yourself. You can still show up in your authentic self and say what you need to say and be who you need to be. And yet you're still approachable. It's not, you know, this air or whatever that sometimes people also feel when, oh, now that I'm in this role, I have to show up as this type of person and, present myself in this kind of way. And I, again, just see what you do in you, because you have lived all over the world. You have the accolades, you have the education, you have done all the things, worked with all the people. But a client who's like, you know what, I need to figure out how I can show up, you know, in my meetings, doesn't feel intimidated, because you're approachable and you're bringing your true self to say, hey, this is who I am. This is how I show up. Let me show you how to do the same thing. And I love that.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And I genuinely enjoy cultures and just learning about people and learning, more from them. And so it helps me to relate to people in a broader way from those experiences. But you have to be willing to go outside of your comfort zone and to
Yeah.
maybe put yourself in some environments where you're not familiar with and you're not comfortable, but in the future, then it'll make you more comfortable because you've been in different spaces and you can understand people in a deeper way.
Hey, sis, can we pause for a quick moment? If you've been feeling that tug to go deeper, to become the wife God actually called you to be, not just the one the world expects, I have something special for you. Join me on January 10th, 2026 for Becoming Her, the Wife God Called, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a day designed for ambitious, faith-filled wives and moms and wives in waiting to reconnect with God's pace, surrounded by powerful speakers, luxury gift bags, amazing food, and a sisterhood that gets it. Tickets are just $50, but seats are limited. And trust me, they'll go fast. And if you're a brand or business that believes in empowering women of faith, there are sponsorship opportunities available too. So don't wait. Head to Transform the Gap, that's GAAP.com. Click events to grab your ticket or learn more about partnering with us. Now let's get back to today's episode. Yeah, and you mentioned something about that earlier too, because that's what's a mistake that we also tend to make in how we show up is, and even when I say that, in being your authentic self, it's in what makes you comfortable, as in I know when I show up or say this as this person, I'm being true to me. But knowing that, we do not grow in comfort. And so if you can say, oh, I know I can say what I need to say and show up and be my true self when I'm talking to this group of people, but then you're having an issue when you go to another group of people, then yeah, that's an area where you want to work on, because you still want to make sure that, someone sees Sharika, whether they're over here, like you said, in the grocery store or in the boardroom, that they're seeing that person and not, oh, well, she never talks when she's around me, or she talks all the time when she's always making fake, everybody gets a different version of you. But when everybody can
Yeah.
collectively come together from different groups or areas and or parts of your life and still say, I see this one total person. And I absolutely agree that you have to go through some discomfort to make sure that you show up as that person in every area, because we can so easily pull back and say, oh, I can't, I can't laugh around them like that. Or, all of these different
Mhm, mhm,
incorrect preconceived notions that we
mhm,
have.
mhm, mhm. Definitely. I think that it's yeah, and you do grow when you're uncomfortable and you push yourself past, like I mentioned Moses from the beginning, but I was actually just reading when, God called Peter to go to the Gentiles' house, and like
Mhm.
in his natural self, that's not something that he would have been comfortable doing, or particularly not about to eat with them. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
God had to give him a dream. And like, if I say go, if I say it's okay. You don't have to be worried about, you know, I know you have this strict
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
box that you put yourself in and put
Yeah.
me in, and that you can only operate in these spaces. But I might call you to greater things with people who maybe don't look like you, maybe don't have the
Yeah.
same, but like, so that you can still speak boldly in those
Yes.
spaces too.
Yes.
Because like I said, it's bigger than you. It's not just about what what is comfortable for you, but it could cause you to be a blessing. Like you're saying, what blessing are people missing by you refusing to
Hmm.
speak or go into those environments?
So I always like to include a scriptural reference. And it's typically based on the flow of our conversation. And so the one that I have for our conversation is Ephesians 4:29, which says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. And I think what you were saying just now completely just supports that, because where you're called to show up may be somewhere completely different than what you're used to. But are you stepping into your calling? Are you standing boldly as who you're called to be? Are you trusting what God has already put in you to equip you for whatever that next space is, or trusting him that if you do get to a spot and you're unsure, that he'll guide you either to the person who can help you or to whatever that right answer is. And I really hope we're understanding the importance of communication and how we show up, because a lot of times people see that before they may hear your voice, before they see you, or they see you and how you're showing up before you ever open your mouth. And so I just hope that this is making each of us do some internal reflection, because what I'm saying right now is like standing in front of your mirror and saying that thing, whatever that thing is you need to say, whoever it is you need to say, and how are you showing up when you do that? And if you're questioning that, then please reach out to Dr. Tanya.
Reach
Oh,
out, and oh my goodness, so many things you just said right now. I talk about in my book, When with Words, because I start off with how you speak to yourself. And when you just talked about unwholesome talk, I think people don't realize that not just unwholesome talk with how you speak to other people. How are you speaking LGBT? It's like a slap in the face to God. Like you're saying, he's calling you to this, and you're like, no, 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 no. You made a mistake. Like,
Right,
no,
right,
like he
right,
created
right,
you,
right.
and you are talking against that. But then also, like I said, with others, and regardless of status, regardless of like, I think it's a part of importance and having wholesome communication, no matter who you're talking to seek to uplift and encourage. I was just listening to a radio program, and it talked about for every negative word that we speak, we have to have like 16 more positive words to counteract the negative words. And so when you have that unwholesome communication, it goes it's so much deeper. You have to work so much harder to undo that. So just try to make sure that your communication is whole, or not to say anything, or until you can say something like, you've heard when you're little, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say
Right,
anything,
right.
don't say anything at all. But when you do speak.
I love that. I love that. Well, I thank you so much for your time, for your leadership, for how you show up, your expert opinion, and even helping us to win with words. And I will absolutely make sure that your contact information is included, as well as details on how to purchase your book, because I think we all saw from your or heard from your story in the beginning. And then even as you continued, you're practicing what you preach. And oftentimes God allows us to go to various situations and circumstances because he's preparing us for that, for our purpose and for who we are called to be and how we are called to help and bless others. So I thank you and appreciate you for that. And we'll just say until next time.
Yes, definitely. Until next time, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I mean, I'm not Dr. Tonia Phanor on everything, but yeah, winwithworthbook.com. But I definitely appreciate the opportunity. It has been, yeah, we could probably talk for much longer, but
Uh-huh.
it's definitely been a pleasure to speak with you today.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Hey, friend, if this episode stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you subscribe to She Leads Boldly so you never miss an episode. And let's stay connected. Join our growing community of faith-driven powerhouse women where you'll find real talk, encouragement, and tools to fuel your journey. Oh, and I've created something special just for the bold, faith-driven women like you. An ebook, When You Know His Name. Discover identity, intimacy, and the power of prayer through the names of God. This ebook is designed to equip and encourage you to lead with clarity, courage, and conviction in every space God assigns you to. Available now on Amazon. And if you're ready for deeper clarity, I would love to personally walk with you. I offer a one-on-one session called Your Path to Purpose and Power. It's to help you break through the overwhelm and realign with what God is actually calling you to in this season. Whether it's burnout, boundaries, or fresh vision, you don't have to figure it out alone. All links are in the show notes. Oh, and one last thing. I would love to hear from you. What questions are you carrying this season? What topics would serve your walk, your work, your womanhood right now? Send me a message or an email because this podcast is for you, and I want every episode to speak directly to where you are. Remember, you don't have to choose between your faith, your family, and the calling on your life. God's grace makes room for it all. So until next time, stay anchored in purpose, covered in grace, and always ready to rise. Talk soon, friend.